Hi everyone, welcome to RailSim UK. Today we're going to be driving the South Eastern Class 395 between London St Pancras and Ebbsfleet. This is the cab of the Class 395. We're currently in St Pancras. A few facts about that. So William Henry Barlow designed St Pancras in 1863. It was opened in October 1868. So the Class 395 entered service in June 2009. We'll cover a bit more facts about the Class 395 as we go along. To begin with, we'll just set the train up and get on the move. So the first thing we need to do is bring our pantograph up. So if we select the pan up button, we'll see the line vault light up in the top right hand corner. And then we'll press the pan up button again to close the circuit breaker, and the MCB light goes off. So then the next thing, we'll change our driver selector switch down to neutral, and then cancel the AWS alarm, and then we will get the headlights on. So we'll obviously run through the day, so we'll switch out the day running and we'll open the doors. So we'll see the door close interlock light go off, and let's just pop it into forward. So there we go. So we'll just set up the view just so we're sitting a bit, maybe a bit further forward. Actually, it's a bit far back, so a bit further forward, a bit higher seating, just nice to see out the window. So yeah, so we're in the Class 395, basically constructed between 2007 and 2009. 29 were built and they're operated by South Eastern. The route we're going to take today is Section 2 of the Channel Tunnel Rail Link, which was opened in November 2007. It's about 37 kilometres long. Has a max speed of 230 kilometers an hour, although we'll only be getting up to 225. So we're ready to pull away. I'll just put passenger view there as well, just so you can see that. It's a lot easier, obviously, for when you're in the tunnels. So it's just you just haven't got a dark cab with a tunnel. Really, you can stare at some seats. So as we pull away, our maximum is 25 miles per hour, which is about 40 kilometers an hour. You'll see we've got coloured light aspect signals because we're essentially on normal lines. When we get into the tunnels, we'll be using in-cab signalling called TVM, but we'll explain that a bit later how that all works. But for now, we're essentially on British Rail. So yeah, so our limit here is 40 kilometres, and as we go down the hill there, we'll pass a sign for 40 miles per hour, but that means we can do about 60 kilometers an hour, so we'll do that. I'm not too fussed about sticking too much to the speed limits or sticking too much to the timetable just for this run. A few facts just about St Pancras just as we leave. So it was hit by a bomb in May 1941. It was almost demolished in the 1960s. It almost collapsed in the 1970s, and it was semi-derelict by the 1980s. It was refurbished in the mid-2000s for the coming of the high-speed line, and officially opened by the Queen in November 2007. So our route is basically, initially here we see we're travelling over the East Coast Main Line, which comes out of London King's Cross, and as we enter the tunnel, our speed limit will jump to 60 kilometres, and you can see that on the TVM signalling, so that's what that 060 is. And then once the train's fully in, we now jump up to 225 kilometers an hour, which again is about 140. So as we accelerate that, I'll just tell you a bit about the route. So we're now into what's called London Tunnel 1, which is 4.7 miles long. We'll then pop out at Stratford International. Then once we've stopped at Stratford, we'll go into London Tunnel 2, which is about 10 kilometers long. We'll pop out, we'll go over Rainham Viaduct, Averley Viaduct and Thurrock Viaduct before we'll then dive into the 2.5 kilometre Thames Tunnel and into Ebbsfleet. So let's cover a bit of the TVM signalling. So TVM, it's basically a form of in-cab signalling which was originally designed in France and used on the TGV high-speed lines. It basically allows you to see a colour-based railway signalling, but in cab. It was thought that to operate at high speeds, drivers wouldn't be able to see coloured light signals outside of the track, So they essentially developed this. So you can see that the 225 in green there is flashing. So that basically means when we pass the next signal, the speed will be lower than 225. And from experience, it's normally 200 that it'll jump down to. And we'll see that there in the next section. This section is called the warning section. So the first section in green is called the line speed section, which basically means that's the maximum line speed, and you can basically attain that. In this section, the warning section basically means that it's warning you that the speed at the next what the speed is at the next signal. Sorry. So if it's flashing, as it is at the moment, it's flashing 170, then we should be doing less than 170 by the next signal. If it was static at 170, then this would basically mean that at the next signal, the speed limit will be 170, and it won't then suddenly go lower. But you'll see, because we're flashing there, so we're now flashing 160, that means that the next signal will be 160, but the signal after that will also be lower than 160. So I hope that makes sense. We'll see as we get closer and closer to Stratford that that will also change. So it'll change to the right. It'll be black squares with white numbers in, and that's called the execute section. So the execute section basically means that this is what basically we should be doing. So we should be doing that speed. That's the kind of the maximum for that bit. Hopefully that makes sense, but you'll see in a second. So we're approaching Stratford. We know that the next signal is, we should be doing less than 100, but the signal after will be less. So we should then switch to about 80 as we come out of the tunnel here. And there we go, and we can see it's static, so that means the next signal, the speed limit is 80. So we'll begin just slowing down a bit. We obviously need to be less than 80 past this signal. And then we see it's now in the execute section, so it's black with white numbers. That is the speed limit. So like say we're in a 6-car class 395 now. So we're looking for the 6-car stop sign. So I know it's just around about where the points are here. So let's see if we can just stop right up to it. There it is there, and sail past it. Never mind. You win some, you lose. So this is Stratford International. So Stratford International originally wasn't meant to be a station at all. It was essentially meant to be a depot. But when the UK in 2005 basically won the rights to host the Olympics in 2012, it was decided that this area would be basically where they would build the stadium and the Olympic Village and things like that. So they went, well, actually, we can stick a station in there. So yeah, that's essentially what they did. They basically built this into a station. It's strange. It's called Stratford International, but no international trains actually stop here. It's all local services. So I guess it just means you can see international trains fly past and wave. Never mind. So as we get going again, you'll see there's a line going across the top of us there, which actually joins to this line. And that takes the Eurostars back to the depot, and it's also a stabling point as well for the Class 395. So as we get back underway, speed limit is 80. As we kind of come out of the station, we've jumped up to 100, so we must not go over 100. But as we join back onto the fast line, essentially, you'll see we'll go back up to line speed, which is 225, and there we go. And we can floor it back into the tunnel. So like I say, this is London Tunnel 2, and this is 10 kilometres long. So it's a good opportunity to tell you a bit more about the Class 395. So it was, like I said earlier, they were built between 2007 and 2009, and they were built in Japan by Hitachi. And they're basically capable of running at 140 miles per hour or 225 kilometers an hour, which we're aiming for at the minute. But that's only when they're using 25,000 volt AC overhead electrification. So they're using the pantograph, which you can do on high speed 1. And then when it leaves high speed 1 and goes onto the domestic lines, it uses a pickup shoe, and that's from a 750 volt DC third rail supply. So Southeastern basically operated these services between London, St Pancras, Stratford and Ebbsfleet for the 2012 Olympics and also for the Paralympics. It was officially kind of branded as the Olympic Javelin Service, with all of the units having Javelin written beside the cab doors. Yeah, so the formation of these, they're essentially, they weigh around about 268 tons, they're around about 100 metres long, they're constructed of aluminium, and like I said earlier, they have 340 seats. Very nice looking units, you know, look definitely very sporty, also look very Japanese. So yeah, so the route, like I say, we'll switch back to the route. What will happen is, once we come out of London Tunnel 2, we'll come out at essentially Dagenham Yard. That's where, it's essentially where the Ford Dagenham plant is. There's a connection to the high-speed line, which is called the Ripple Lane Freight Connection. Once we kind of shoot past that, hopefully there'll be a couple of locomotives sitting in the yard that we'll see as we fly past that 140 miles per hour. We'll then, like I say, pass over Rainham Viaduct, which is about half a kilometre long. Then over Averley Viaduct, which is about a kilometre long. That actually passes over the London, Tilbury and Southend Railway, which when we come out of the tunnel, that'll be on the left hand side. So the freight depot on the right and the London, Tilbury and Southend Railway is on the left. Again, there may be some units there, some southern units or some southeastern units I should say. One of the other things we'll do is, when we're out in the open, we'll actually, once we're over Thurrock Viaduct basically takes us through the M25 orbital motorway. Yes, I mean through. I'll kind of talk about that in a second. So we're just coming out of the tunnel now, trying to keep up a good line speed. It's quite a gradient coming out here. So yeah, so this is the freight line connection that we're just passing over now. You'll see on the left hand side is Dagenham Docks railway station, and on the right hand side this is essentially the freight yard. So we can see freight line at class 66 in there. So yeah, there is something fantastic driving at 140 miles per hour. That's why I really like the Avignon to Marseille run as well with the TGV. Just that feeling of speed, if your computer can handle it and the game doesn't stutter quite a bit like mine does, unfortunately. So we'll be passing as well on the left hand side Rainham Station, which is just kind of round this corner. And there it is there, that's Rainham Station on the left hand side with looks like a class 375. And we're just, you'll notice I've got TGV duplexes kind of on here, just because there's no model for the Eurostar. Although I have seen a couple, but I've just left it as a TGV. It's just, you get that sense of speed as it flies past anyway. So as I was saying earlier on, we will go through the M25. So when they were building the line, they found that if anybody's ever been on the M25 on the outskirts of London, you'll know that if you're heading southbound, then you will cross over the Dartford crossing, which is the Queen Elizabeth II bridge. Whereas if you're heading northbound, you will actually go through Dartford Tunnel, and because one of them is lower than the other, so there's obviously a flyover for the bridge to go over the bridge. They needed to try and squeeze the railway line, and there's also as well there's domestic lines that run underneath that point as well. So they had to essentially feed the high-speed line in between them. So you'll see that when we get to that point, we'll go over the northbound carriageway and we'll go under the southbound carriageway. And there's a great documentary, and I can't remember what it's called, which basically showed the construction of that, a kind of time lapse of them feeding the high speed line, the bridge, through in between them without closing the roads, without closing the M25, which is it's a great documentary to watch. So I really do recommend that. So yeah, so we're not exactly flying at 225. We see that our 225 is flashing, which means that the signal that we come to will be slower than 225. So this, yeah, we can see the M25 there, you can see the bridge on the right hand side. So as we go along, and again this is called Thurrock Viaduct, we'll see that's the northbound carriageway below us and the southbound carriageway above us. And yeah, and we're going to dive into the Thames Tunnel now. So the Thames Tunnel is about 2.5 kilometres long. And we're reducing our speed. So it's really not a long tunnel at all. And then Ebbsfleet is just at the end of it. So we'll just continue our braking. Might just apply a little bit more braking. So obviously, Ebbsfleet International was built as well at the same time as the opening of the line, and obviously connects with local services as well. I don't know how much it's used by Eurostars. I've been on Eurostars a few times, and I don't think we've ever stopped there. So once you leave Ebbsfleet, you obviously travel down the North Kent line. So that's essentially why this add-on for the game is London St Pancras to Faversham, because it'll take you, you'll go down the North Kent line to all of those stops. So we've got a static 100, so which means we're probably coming out the tunnel in a second, and you can kind of see the end of it there. Which, because it's static, means the next signal is 100, which is now flashing. So we'll know that where the signal after that is going to change. And as we pop out back into the daylight, we'll just kind of come over to the right hand side, and then we'll go up over our bridge in Ebbsfleet. So I'm still going a little bit fast. So the speed's now down to 80. There's another TGV duplex. Again, apologies for the kind of jumpiness of the video. So probably need to slow down a little bit more. Still a little bit fast, and seem to be gaining speed. Oh, and yeah. So this is a good example of when you pass a signal going too fast. So what this basically, these red squares with the black and white kind of zeros mean, it means emergency stop. It means stop. So to get out of an emergency stop, you put your selector back into neutral, just whack your throttle, if you like. I can't think of the name of it. Buy that in emergency brake, pull it back. That'll cancel the alarm, and then stick yourself back into forward. We're actually rolling back, so give it a bit of power. So yeah, this lovely, perfect drive that I've done has just all now been spoiled, but I'm not going to go re-record this. So yeah. So this is, I think this is platform 6 at Ebbsfleet. You'll notice there we've got the sign for 60 miles per hour, because remember we're now off the high speed lines. So our TVM has now disappeared. We're back on essentially British Rail, and we'll have colour light aspect signals. We won't have any in-cab signal and from here on in. Now the overhead catenary as well, the overhead electrification finishes at the station. So before we leave the station, we would then switch to our shoes, our 750 volt pickup third rail. So you'll see that we've now got a third rail just to the left hand side of the train there. So again, shot past the 6-car stop. Never mind. That's essentially it. I'm not going to kind of go any further. I just wanted to show you a bit of that high-speed line there. This is obviously the Javelin. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If there's something else I could mention about it, then mention it in the comments, and maybe I'll re-record it where I don't cause an emergency brake application in the last 3 minutes. All right, thanks a lot for watching. Make sure to subscribe as well, and we'll try and do more and more videos like this. Again, thanks for watching.